In the heart of the vast empire of Zharon, a place of splendor and cruelty, the destiny of a young slave girl is about to change forever. In this empire, where the differences between the nobility and the slaves are as deep as the chasms that separate the heavens from the earth, the life of the oppressed is reduced to serving without hope of freedom. The opulent mansions of the nobles tower over the hunched backs of those who are considered little more than tools, nameless, voiceless, and without a future. Lyria, a young woman of humble origins, has known this life for as long as she can remember. Raised within the walls of the imperial palace, her existence has been marked by obedience and submission. But deep inside, Lyria has always felt that her destiny is not destined to remain in the shadows. Since childhood, vivid dreams have transported her to ancient times, where she sees herself not as a slave, but as a warrior, fighting epic battles, leading armies and forging her own path. However, these dreams seem as far away as the stars, until one day, while carrying out her duties at court, her destiny changes in unexpected ways. While serving the nobles, her ears pick up a secret conversation between two influential figures, who speak in whispers about a plot to overthrow the current emperor. The revelation shakes Lyria to her core, igniting a spark within her that cannot be extinguished. Driven by a mixture of fear and a new sense of hope, Lyria begins to investigate what she has heard. It is then that her path crosses that of Kael, an enslaved gladiator whose exploits in the arena are as legendary as his hatred for the empire that has chained him. Kael is everything Lyria has dreamed of being: strong, determined and, most importantly, free in spirit. Together, Lyria and Kael decide that the oppression they have endured all their lives must come to an end. In the shadows of the empire, they begin to plot a rebellion that, if successful, will not only free the slaves of Zharon, but also destroy the corrupt system that has kept them in chains. But this path will be full of dangers, betrayals, and trials that will test their will and strength. Thus begins the chronicle of Lyria, a slave destined to become a warrior and, eventually, the empress of a transformed empire. In a world where the struggle for power is tinged with blood and loyalty is a scarce commodity, Lyria must discover if she has what it takes not only to survive, but to lead a revolution that will change the course of history. Don't miss out on the best. Subscribe now to my YouTube channel and join this amazing community. Every week, new adventures, tips, and much more await you. Hit the subscribe button and activate the bell to stay always up to date. Let's start with the story. In the lands of the vast and prosperous empire of Zharon, society is divided by unbreakable classes. At the top are the nobles, whose lives are filled with luxury and power. At the bottom, the slaves, who suffer under the yoke of servitude, considered little more than tools. Lyria, a young slave of humble origins, has lived her entire life in the shadows of the imperial palace, serving a noble family without questioning her place in the world. But Lyria has always felt that her destiny is greater than that of a mere slave. Since childhood, she has had visions and dreams of ancient battles and distant kingdoms, where she was not a slave but a powerful warrior. However, these dreams seem as distant as the stars until one day, while serving in the court, she overhears a secret conversation that will change her life forever, a conspiracy to overthrow the current emperor. Driven by a mix of fear and hope, Lyria begins to investigate what she has heard. In the shadows, she meets Kael, a gladiator slave with unmatched strength and ferocity. Kael has been forced to fight in the arenas for the nobles' entertainment, but in his heart burns an unrelenting hatred for the empire that has enslaved him. Lyria and Kael, united by their common hatred of their oppressors, begin to plot a rebellion. With the help of Thera, a maid who has been gathering secrets from the nobility for years, and Ronan, a deserter from the imperial army, Lyria and Kael form a secret alliance. The objective is clear: liberate the slaves, overthrow the corrupt nobility, and reclaim the empire for those who have been oppressed for centuries. As the conspiracy grows, Lyria must learn to fight, not only with words but with weapons. Kael, who recognizes an indomitable spirit in her, trains her in combat. Lyria discovers that, although her body has been weakened by years of servitude, her spirit is strong, and her ability to learn quickly makes her a formidable warrior. Meanwhile, Ronan uses his military knowledge to teach Lyria and the other rebels the tactics necessary to confront the imperial army. Under his guidance, the slaves begin to transform into a clandestine army, prepared to fight for their freedom. However, the rebellion is not without betrayal. Cassius, a noble who pretends to sympathize with the slaves' cause, infiltrates the rebel ranks with the intention of destroying the movement from within. Lyria, always cautious, distrusts Cassius from the start, but Kael, eager to gain support from the nobles, accepts him into the alliance. Cassius's betrayal is revealed at a critical moment when he hands over several rebel leaders to the imperial authorities, condemning them to death. The rebellion teeters on the brink of collapse, but Lyria, with her growing leadership skills, manages to reorganize the troops and execute a strategy that leads to Cassius's capture. With Cassius's betrayal exposed, Lyria and her allies redouble their efforts to keep the rebellion alive. However, Lyria begins to have more intense visions, in which she sees herself leading an empire not only as a warrior but as an almost divine figure. These visions lead her to an ancient sanctuary hidden in the mountains, where she discovers the Mark of Destiny, a sacred symbol that can only be borne by the true heir to the imperial throne. Upon touching the mark, Lyria experiences a revelation: she is the descendant of the ancient dynasty that was overthrown by the current nobility. This revelation not only solidifies her conviction in the rebellion but also fills her with a renewed purpose. She must not only overthrow the emperor but also reclaim the throne that rightfully belongs to her. Armed with her new identity and the conviction of her destiny, Lyria leads a daring assault on the imperial palace. The attack is coordinated and executed with precision, using all the tactics Ronin has taught them. As the rebels infiltrate the palace's defenses, the battle erupts through marble corridors and golden halls. Lyria and Kael, fighting side by side, manage to make their way to the throne room, where they confront the emperor. In an epic duel, Lyria defeats the emperor, demonstrating that the blood of the ancient kings runs through her veins. However, instead of killing him, she decides to exile him, sending him into exile to live with the humiliation of his defeat. With the emperor defeated and the palace under rebel control, Lyria is crowned as the new Empress of Zharon. Her ascension to the throne marks the beginning of a new era for the empire, an era in which slavery is abolished and the lands are distributed among those who have worked them for generations. But the path to peace is long and difficult. Lyria faces challenges both internal and external, including nobles who resist change and factions within the rebellion that disagree with her leadership. Despite these obstacles, Lyria remains steadfast, using her newly discovered wisdom and the strength of her allies to consolidate her power. As Lyria works to stabilize the empire, a new threat emerges: Lucan, the brother of the exiled emperor, who has been gathering forces in the empire's most remote provinces. Lucan, a relentless warrior with his own ambitions, sees in his brother's fall an opportunity to seize the throne for himself. Lucan, with a loyal army and the promise of restoring the old nobility to power, begins a campaign to overthrow Lyria. Rumors of his advance sow fear throughout the empire, and many begin to question Lyria's ability to maintain control. As civil war looms, Lyria must confront the possibility of losing everything she has gained. The confrontation between Lyria and Lucan reaches its climax in an epic battle on the fields of Vardar, where both armies clash in a struggle that will determine the empire's future. Despite being outnumbered, Lyria uses her cunning and the lessons learned during her time as a slave and warrior to lead her troops with fierce determination. Kael, now her most trusted general, and Lena, her strategic advisor, play crucial roles in the battle, but it is Lyria who ultimately faces Lucan in hand-to-hand combat. In the heat of battle, Lyria manages to defeat Lucan, ending his threat and securing her position as the legitimate empress. With the war over and the threat of Lucan eliminated, Lyria faces the task of rebuilding a fractured empire. Under her leadership, Zharon begins to flourish once again, but not without challenges. The remnants of the old nobility still resist, and the process of healing the wounds of war will be long and arduous. However, Lyria has become more than just a leader. She is a symbol of resistance, strength, and change. From slave to warrior, and now empress, her life becomes a legend that inspires future generations. As she walks through the halls of her palace, Lyria knows that her journey is not over, but she has left a legacy that will endure long after her reign has ended. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and comment.